Hi, and welcome to English-Fabule. Are you learning English? Great. Let's learn English with a very interesting story. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. Let's get started.
In May 2020, an important event took place. Two American astronauts prepared to fly into space from American land. It was a special moment because it had been 9 long years since America last sent its own astronauts to orbit from U.S. soil. This flight marked a big change. The mission was a great success. It was made possible by a private company called SpaceX. Elon Musk is the founder and leader of SpaceX. His company built the rocket and the spaceship. Many people around the world watched the launch. They saw American astronauts flying again on an American rocket. After this successful launch, many conversations started. A popular idea was that Elon Musk had saved NASA, America's famous space agency. For nearly a decade, NASA had to rely on other countries to send its astronauts to the International Space Station. This dependence was costly and sometimes difficult. SpaceX's achievement brought American spaceflight back to its own country. It seemed like a rescue for NASA. This book will explore this widely held belief. Did one person truly save NASA? Or is the full story more complex? We will look at the history and see how NASA decided to work with private companies. We will also examine the challenges and successes of this new way of doing things. The truth often has many layers. We will find out if this success was only due to Elon Musk, or if many factors and many people played a part in bringing American astronauts back to space. 2. A big problem. In July 2011, a big change happened for NASA. The Space Shuttle program finished. The last space shuttle, Atlantis, landed. This was a sad day for many people. For 30 years, the space shuttles took astronauts to space. They helped build the International Space Station, or ISS. But after many years, the shuttles became too old and too expensive to fly. There were also safety worries, especially after the Columbia accident in 2003. With the space shuttle gone, America had a big problem. NASA had no way to send its astronauts to space. The United States could not launch its own people to the ISS. This was the first time this had happened since the 1960s. It meant that American astronauts could not fly into space from their home country. So NASA had to find another way. They had to ask Russia for help. Russia had its own spaceship called Soyuz. Soyuz rockets were reliable, but they were not free. The U.S. government had to pay Russia a lot of money to use these rockets. This made things difficult for NASA. It was very expensive to buy seats on Soyuz. In the beginning, a seat cost about $23 million. But over time, the price went up. Later, one seat could cost as much as $86 million. This situation was not good for America. It was expensive, and it meant the U.S. depended on another country for space travel. Sometimes political problems made things even harder. This big problem for NASA showed that they needed a new plan for going to space. 3. A new idea. After the Space Shuttle program ended, America faced a big problem. NASA had no way to send astronauts to the International Space Station. For several years, the United States had to pay Russia a lot of money for seats on their Soyuz rockets. This was not a good situation. It was expensive, and it meant America was not independent in space travel. NASA needed a new plan. Leaders at the agency decided to try something different. Instead of building spaceships itself, as it had always done, NASA would ask private companies for help. This was a bold new idea. NASA would pay these companies to build and operate spaceships like a taxi service to space. This program was named the Commercial Crew Program. The goal of this new plan was to save money and get American astronauts back into space from American soil. By letting private companies compete, NASA hoped to get better technology at lower costs. Companies would take more of the financial risk. This meant if a company spent too much money to build a spaceship, they would pay the extra cost, not the government. This was a big change from how NASA usually worked. In 2014, NASA chose 2 companies to build the new spaceships. These companies were SpaceX and Boeing. Each company received a contract. SpaceX received about $2.6 billion, and Boeing received about $4.2 billion. These contracts were for developing their new spacecraft and flying initial missions. Choosing 2 companies was important. It meant there would be competition, which often leads to better products and lower prices. It also provided a backup plan. If one company had problems, the other might still succeed. This way, NASA would have 2 different ways to send astronauts to the International Space Station. This new idea promised to change American space travel forever. 4. SpaceX's spaceship. SpaceX built a special new spaceship called the Crew Dragon. It is a very modern, sleek white capsule. This spaceship has many new features for safety that make it different from older designs. For example, it has powerful engines called Super Draco built right into its body. These engines are printed using a special 3-dimensional method. Each Super Draco engine can create 16,000 pounds of thrust. This power lets the capsule quickly fly away from the rocket if there is any problem during launch. Astronauts can escape safely at any point while the rocket is going up. SpaceX worked very hard to test the Crew Dragon's safety and ability. In May 2015, they performed a key test called a pad abort. This test showed that the Super Draco engines could rapidly carry the crew capsule away from the launch pad in an emergency. Later, in March 2019, an uncrewed Crew Dragon made its first journey to the International Space Station. This mission, named Demo 1, successfully delivered cargo and docked with the station all by itself. This proved the spaceship could reach orbit and connect with the station. Another important test happened in January 2020, when SpaceX performed an in-flight abort test. This showed the escape system worked perfectly even when the rocket was flying at high speeds in the air. These successful tests paved the way for the biggest moment. Finally, on May 30, 2020, two NASA astronauts, Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, made history. They climbed into the Crew Dragon at Kennedy Space Center. They launched into space on a Falcon 9 rocket for the Demo 2 mission. This was the first time American astronauts had flown to space from U.S. soil in 9 years. They traveled safely to the International Space Station and lived there for 64 days. At the end of their mission, the Crew Dragon brought them back to Earth with a successful water landing in August 2020, just like the Apollo missions long ago. This historic flight completed all of NASA's requirements for regular missions. This achievement was a major step for America's space program. It showed that the United States could once again send its own people to space. Soon after, in November 2020, the Crew Dragon flew its first regular mission, called Crew 1. It carried 4 astronauts for a 6-month stay on the space station. SpaceX designed the Crew Dragon to be reused, which helps make space travel more affordable. Each seat on a Crew Dragon flight costs about $55 million. The Crew Dragon proved that new ways of thinking and building could bring a successful return to American spaceflight. 5. A cheaper way. Using SpaceX for space travel proved to be a much cheaper way for NASA. Before, America had to pay a lot of money to Russia to send its astronauts to the International Space Station. A single seat on Russia's Soyuz rocket cost a very high price, between $86 and $90 million. This was a very large expense for NASA and the United States government, especially after the Space Shuttle program ended. With SpaceX's Crew Dragon, the cost for one astronaut seat went down significantly. It cost about $55 million per seat. This meant NASA saved many millions of dollars for each astronaut it sent to space. For example, if NASA needed to send 4 astronauts, they would save around $140 million in total compared to using Russian rockets for the same mission. This allowed NASA to use its budget for other important space projects. The overall investment by NASA in the Commercial Crew program, which included SpaceX and Boeing, was about $6.2 billion up to the point of certification. Experts believe that if NASA had decided to build the new spaceships itself using its traditional methods, it would have cost a lot more. Estimates suggest it might have cost anywhere from $36 billion to $52 billion. So, working with private companies like SpaceX saved NASA a massive amount, easily $30 billion or more in total development money. SpaceX also built its spaceship relatively fast. The company started working on the Crew Dragon and had it ready for its first crewed flight in May 2020. While this was a few years later than their initial plan, it was still a very quick timeline for developing such advanced human spacecraft. Their main competitor, Boeing, was also chosen by NASA to build a new spaceship called Starliner. However, Boeing faced many technical problems and significant delays. Their Starliner spacecraft was still not ready for regular crew flights many years after SpaceX started its missions. Boeing also spent much more money than originally agreed, paying over $2 billion of its own money due to unexpected extra costs. SpaceX, on the other hand, managed to complete their Crew Dragon development mostly within the funds they were first given by NASA. This difference showed that SpaceX found a very effective way to build new spaceships at a lower cost and in a more timely manner, bringing American astronauts back to space from American soil. 6. Not just Elon Musk. Elon Musk and his company SpaceX truly changed how America goes to space. But it is very important to understand that he did not do it alone. Many other dedicated people and organizations worked together. Their combined efforts brought American astronauts back to space from American land after a long 9-year wait. This was a team victory. NASA leaders were key to this success. They made a brave and new decision. Instead of building their own spaceships, NASA chose to pay private companies to offer space taxi services. This was a big change from old ways. Important leaders like NASA Administrator Mike Griffin and his successor Charles Bolden strongly supported this new commercial approach. Program managers such as Kathy Luters and William Gerstenmaier expertly guided the entire program. They set high standards and made sure all safety rules were met. Thousands of NASA engineers gave their years of experience. They provided technical oversight and helped integrate the new Crew Dragon with the International Space Station. NASA acted as a smart customer, clearly defining what was needed but letting companies find their own best ways to build it. The U.S. government also provided essential support. The U.S. Congress was crucial by giving the Commercial Crew program the necessary money. Without this steady funding, the ambitious project could not have moved forward. This financial backing continued reliably year after year, even as different presidents held office. This bipartisan political support showed a strong national commitment. It helped make sure America could end its expensive dependence on Russia for sending astronauts to orbit. Competition was another major driving force. NASA wisely chose two companies, SpaceX and Boeing, to develop new spacecraft. This created a healthy race. Both companies pushed hard to be the first and the best. This intense desire to compete motivated SpaceX to innovate quickly and find ways to build the Crew Dragon more efficiently and at a lower cost. The competition also meant NASA had two options. This made the whole program more robust, reducing the risk if one company faced problems. In conclusion, while Elon Musk's vision and SpaceX's engineering were vital, the achievement was much larger. It was a complex blend of NASA's forward-thinking leadership, the U.S. government's financial backing, and the powerful push of competition. This partnership showed how many different strengths must come together for truly great accomplishments in space. 7. The final score. So, we ask, did Elon Musk truly save NASA? This is a big question with a complex but clear answer. Elon Musk's company, SpaceX, certainly brought a vital solution. After the space shuttle program ended, America had no way to send its astronauts to the International Space Station. For 9 long years, the United States depended on Russia, paying them large sums of money to use their Soyuz rockets. This was extremely expensive, with costs reaching up to $86 to $90 million for each seat on a Russian rocket. SpaceX changed this painful situation, making the final score much better for America. The Crew Dragon spaceship, built by SpaceX, ended this costly dependence. In 2020, American astronauts flew from U.S. soil again, marking a historic return. This was a very important moment for the country. Using Crew Dragon is also significantly cheaper. The NASA Inspector General stated that a seat on Crew Dragon costs about $55 million, saving NASA many billions of dollars over time. For example, the total money NASA invested in the Commercial Crew program was $6.2 billion. Experts estimate that a traditional government program would have cost between $30 and $52 billion. This shows the huge financial benefit. However, Elon Musk did not achieve this alone. The success was truly a team effort. Leaders at NASA had a new and brave idea: to let private companies build spaceships and offer a taxi service to space. This was a big change from how NASA usually worked. NASA's skilled engineers worked closely with SpaceX, making sure every part was safe and reliable. The U.S. government, through Congress, also provided the essential money and political support needed for the program to move forward. This strong partnership, combining NASA's vision with SpaceX's ability to innovate and create new things, made the success possible. The competition with Boeing, another company trying to build a new spaceship, also played a part. It pushed SpaceX to develop its spacecraft faster and more efficiently. Even though Boeing faced delays, having 2 companies involved provided important options for America's future in space. In the end, SpaceX offered the fastest and most cost-effective solution for American astronauts to launch from home soil again. It brought new technology and new ways of working to space exploration. But it was the smart decisions from NASA's leaders, the vital funds from the government, and the hard work of countless people that truly secured this final score for success. This great partnership has shown a new and powerful path for the future of space travel. 8. The future of space. The success of the Commercial Crew program changed how we think about space. It taught a big lesson. Private companies and government agencies can work together very well. This new way of working is good for space travel and future discoveries. NASA now uses this idea for its future plans. This partnership model helps them go back to the moon with the Artemis program. They also plan to send people to Mars. This shows that working together can help us reach faraway places. This method lets NASA pay a fixed price for services, meaning companies work hard to build things well and save money. Competition helps make things better and faster. Working with companies like SpaceX means NASA can save billions of dollars. It also helps new space companies grow. This makes space travel faster and cheaper for everyone. It creates many new ideas and jobs too. Many new companies are now working in space. They are building rockets, satellites, and spaceships. This makes the entire space industry stronger and more able to innovate. It also means America has more ways to go to space, ending old problems of depending on other countries. This is good for the country's independence in space. NASA learned to try new ways and take smart risks. This helps them stay important in a changing world. They see that working with private companies is a good way to explore more of space. This balance between government goals and company innovation is key for continuing amazing progress. The future of space looks bright with these new ways of working. What do you think is the next big challenge that a partnership like this could solve?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.